Hi everyone, welcome to Richmond Public Library Presents Young Writers Workshop. I'm Mr. Lewis from the Kinter Park Library, and I'm here to help you take those first steps into writing. The focus of this workshop will be on fiction writing, but many of the methods and advice can also be used for nonfiction writing, such as essays and reports. I hope that you will find it informative and fun. For this first video, I'm going to cover one of the hardest parts of writing, getting started. Now, everyone starts at a different point in this process. Some people have no idea what they want to write, and some people have their entire story already outlined in their head. Regardless of which end of this spectrum you fall on, it is always helpful to start with a brainstorm. If you've never heard of brainstorming, or free writing as it's also called, it's an activity where you throw out as many ideas as possible and write them down, then go over them afterwards to see if anything inspires you. It doesn't have to be anything significant. It doesn't even have to make sense immediately. You can use complete sentences, short phrases, or even just single words. Just whatever comes to mind. If you have an idea already, what you write down can be related to that topic or not. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to have an example here. We see a mostly blank page, something that I'm sure a lot of aspiring writers are familiar with. I'm using Microsoft Word, but you can use really any writing format that you would like. If you want to just use a pencil and a piece of paper, that works just as well. So I like to do it in a list format, whatever way works best for you. So now we just write down some words, and they can be really random words, like just here. Cheese, dragon, outer space, chimpanzee, tripod, chair, sock, falling leaves, ice cube. It can be anything. Like look around you, get some inspiration. Maybe something in the room that you're working in. Maybe something that's been on your mind lately. Something you're interested in. It could be anything really. Map, sharp, laptop, end of the road, Halloween, baseball, pizza, backpack, any of these really. And again, they don't really have to have anything in common. It could just be random words. The idea is just get as many random ideas out there as you can, and then afterwards you can go back and see if anything jumps out at you. So I'm just going to make a quick list here. Monster truck, superhero, movie theater, feather, blank paper, maze, breakfast, power outlets, remote control, and that's to be enough for right now. You can have this as long as you want. Once you feel confident that you have a good number, I usually go for about 20 to 30. That it really can be any number. The more, the better, honestly, because you have more words to work with. But there's no set limit, of course. Now you can start reviewing them to see if any combinations give you any ideas. Now, if you have an idea already, then you see what word combinations might go with your idea, or you can round it out in any ways that maybe you didn't expect ahead of time. So here, I can go with really any of these. Pizza and chair, chimpanzee and outer space, blank paper and map, any of these. Now, depending on what kind of story you would like to write, some of these might be useful, some not. You don't have to use any of these. You could use all of them, although that might be a little difficult considering the massive amount of different words you're going to have here. But the idea is that just get as many ideas as possible. If none of these work, throw it out, start over. That's the great thing about brainstorming. This is nothing that you're going to have to hang on to. You just have this for ideas, and then you move on. Brainstorming can be a really fun activity, and there are limitless possibilities that can come from it. You would be surprised with how unique and interesting different combinations of ideas can be. You can use it at various stages of the writing process too. If you're ever stuck with your plot, throw together a brainstorming session and see what comes out. So from here, you can now begin to properly plan out your story as you would like using some helpful questions. A useful tool for when you're first starting out writing is to ask yourself some beginning questions, questions that will help you shape the story in your mind and help you kind of focus in on what you need to plan for. Now, I like to start with 4 beginning questions. There are literally hundreds that you could ask depending on how specific you want to start out with, but I find that these 4 really kind of help get the ball rolling and get your mind in the right place for what you're trying to do. So the first question is, what is the setting of my story? Where does it take place? When does it take place? Things like that. Because this will shape how your story develops. A story that takes place in modern urban America is going to be very different from a story that takes place in medieval Europe or ancient China or an alien planet. They all have very different situations, very different settings, very different cultures, very different technology levels, and all of those things will help shape the way your story will go forward. Okay, so definitely think about the setting of your story. Now the next question is, who is the main character? Your protagonist. The person that you're going to be following, the person that you want the reader to care about, the person whose story this is. Now, a lot of times the main character or protagonist is the hero of the story, but not always. You can actually have it where the protagonist is maybe an anti-hero, a person that you don't want to be necessarily a really great person, but it's still the story that you're following. Any story that follows a villain character, your main character would be the villain in that case, not the hero as we would traditionally think of them. So who is the main character? Now, a name might be enough, but a lot of times it's better to answer this question with as much detail as you can. So name, a little bit of their background, their age, things like that. Maybe even like some relationships. What is their family like? What kind of friends do they have? Things like that. And you can really shape it however you want. Try not to let the plot shape your character. Let your character be the driving force for your plot. If you try to force the character to fit the plot, sometimes you end up with broken characters. Now, the next question I have is, what are they trying to accomplish? This is your character's driving force. They are after something. They want to achieve something. Otherwise, there's no conflict in your story. If your main character doesn't want anything, then what's the story all about then? Now, it can be a physical, tangible goal. Maybe they want a new game. Maybe they want a trophy. Maybe they want a medal, something like that. Or it can be in response to something else. Maybe something happens to them, and their goal is to get out of that situation or to fix the situation, right? So the goal doesn't have to be like a lifelong process for them. It could be something that happens because of something else that happens in the story. And goals can change over time, depending on new information that is given to the character. But the idea is that the character is trying to achieve something. And that is your story. It's your character's journey to achieve that something. And then, of course, the fourth question is, who or what is standing in their way? This is the antagonist. Now, a lot of times the antagonist is the villain of the story, but just like the protagonist does not have to be a hero, the antagonist does not have to necessarily be a villain. Any good story, the main character is trying to accomplish something, but they're not going to just get it. No one's just going to hand it to them, and that's the end. Something's always standing in their way. If you're on a sports team, the opposing team is standing in your way, right? If you're a mountain climber, then the mountain is standing in your way. It's something to be overcome. It could be a person, it could be a group or an organization, it could be an intangible thing, it could be a tangible thing. So what I mean by that, it could be something like the weather is what's stopping you. Maybe your story is set during like a hurricane, right? Or a snowstorm. Something that is stopping your character from getting what they want. Because the whole story really is watching your character overcome these obstacles. So that's it for this week. In the next video, we'll be covering the differences between plotting and discovery writing and helping you decide how to find out which one is right for you. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the information helpful. I'd love to hear from you. You can find my contact information in the video description below. We also have a Discord channel where aspiring authors can chat, ask questions, and submit their writings for review. That's it for today. Until next time, stay safe and keep writing.